messy today, so I was gonna... This one might be a little shorter than the last one. But here I am. Load. There we go. Duke, go away. You don't want to fix. You want us to move, or you want us to move around? Fix. What's that? Recording term refers to the act of fixing a camera in a single place. Okay.
くす？よくわかんないけど。
Oh, we can do it. We can do close-ups or whatever.
本当？よかった。じゃあ本番までにどこをどう撮ってほしいかまとめて渡すから。
And then she fled. That surprised me. Don't scare me like that. I was so nervous, I was sweating a little. Ito was looking at me and sighing. What?
お前、やっぱり野獣じゃないわ。
What?
相変わらず慣れない相手だと挙取るし、丁寧語だし。
I can't help it. She came out of nowhere. And what's more, I made it a policy not to talk to anyone unless it was necessary. This was the first time in quite a while I'd spoken to any of my classmates but Ito.
どうだった？
なんか自慢されてなかった？フィックスとかなんとか。
んだそれ。またうんちくか
？1 second. They'd already started to spread meaningless information. Stop it. Hearing whispers about me in the classroom brought back memories. I was starting to have a hard time breathing.
What? 大丈夫か?
I must have looked like I was in pain because Ito was looking at me with concern on his face. Pardon me. I quickly nodded to show that I was fine.
陰口は聞こえないように言えってのな。しかも自慢でもうんちくでも何でもないっての。
It doesn't bother me. Fujita is...
誰だよ。
Oh, Tanaka is just a wrong-sider. That's right. It wasn't worth worrying about. She was just ignorant. Ito looked over at our other classmates, who were having fun.
たく、オポチュニストが。
Huh? Opportunist. Uh-oh. What did that mean again? I know I'd heard it before. I ran a search on my pocket comm, making sure not to let Ito see. Opportunist. One who takes advantage of any opportunity to achieve an end. That's right. I think that's exactly the right word. They'll all take any opportunity to bring you down.
まったくな。
Ito nodded, annoyed. Good. Looks like he didn't find out.
いつの時代もスクールカーストの底辺にいる俺らオタクは上部にいる方たちに話のネタを提供する運命なのか。
Hold it. The school caste system wasn't something I cared about, but... Hey, I'm not an otaku.
またかよ。
What do you mean again? I just don't like it when people are wrong. Do you want...
いい、打たなくていい。
The definition of the word otaku is changing. The negative connotations it originally had are disappearing, but... Even now in 2015, it still mostly serves to denote those obsessed with anime, light novels, video games, and idols. I thought I saw a boy reading a light novel turn toward me, but I didn't care. I don't watch stupid anime or read stupid light novels. It's a waste of time.
以前お前なんかのアニメを絶賛してなかったか？なんだっけ？ブラチュ？
I said I don't watch anime that's stupid. It's no different than people who ignore quality movies like The Two Veronicas or It's My Wonderful Life. And I just watch the same stuff over and over. And say anyone who hasn't seen the show is a casual.
わかったって。
Jesus, kid sounds like me. The main character. He sounds like a lot like me, actually. Or people who lie about having read books like The City in Sequence or Winter's Garden. Just read light novels all day. Or just read light novels all day, pardon me. The word otaku refers to people like that, who only bother to absorb information about subjects they enjoy.
カメラオタクってなんか怪しいイメージあるよな。
別に人様に迷惑かけなければいいんじゃん。好きなんでしょ。うちだってジョニオタだし。
Ellipses. Stop it, please. More than anything, I don't want to be the same as you people. And then the door to the classroom flew open. A female student was looking in. She must have been in a hurry because she was a little out of breath. She pushed her long hair out of her eyes and was about to come inside.
ノノ、どうしたの？
おお、女帝、ちょうどよかった。
The whole class started to talk to her. Oh, she's cute.
ちょっと。
She was about to say something when her foot caught on one of the cables running across the room. And she suddenly tripped. She almost tripped but managed to keep her balance. She smiled a bit and took a deep breath. All the students around her, boys and girls alike, began to move. They surrounded her as if they were welcoming a long-lost family member.
ちょっと誰？こんなところにケーブル置きっぱなしにしたの。危ないな。ノノ、ごめんね。
女帝、大丈夫か？
ええ、気にしないで。
She answered them with a smile. I felt like our eyes met. I looked away without thinking. Nono Kurusu, the first student council president of Hekiho Academy.
あのさ、うちの喫茶でキッチン側とそれ以外のこっち側のなんてのお客さんスペースってか。
Kurusu smiled as she spoke, a little as she spoke.
ホール側？
そうそう、ホールだ。そのさ、間を仕切る暗幕の数の調整ってワックンしてくれた？
調整？涌井先生が増田君にそう言ったの？
え、聞いてない？
ええ。ということは絶対やってないでしょうね。分かった、私から言っておく。
大丈夫？なんか女帝、先生たちから目つけられてんじゃん。てか怖がられてんじゃん。
生徒会長なんて生徒側から学校側に無理難題を押し付けるためにいるものでしょ。大丈夫、なけなしの権力を振りかざすから。あと増田君、女帝はやめて。
I see.
ほう、サンキュー、女帝。
あなたね。
Most of the boys in the class called Kurusu Empress as a joke. She'd gotten the name after becoming a hero to her fellow students through gallant deeds like putting an end to the principal's endless homeroom speeches. Not to mention bringing more types of bread to the school store.
ノーノー、着ぐるみありがとね。ぴったりだった。
田中、それ私が試着した時最後までファスナー上がらなかったんだけど。
地雷？
呼び込み禁止にするからね。
ああ、ごめん、嘘ピチピチだから。これは割とマジで。いや、てかどうせ胸で引っかかったんでしょ。
冗談、期待してるから笑い取ってよ。
She sure was popular. She even knew the names of the students in other classes. The top of the school caste system. That was the first phrase that came to mind. And then...
タクル、話があるの。ちょっと来てくれる？
Oh, I'm in trouble. Kurusu walked all the way over to see me and Ito. Her expression was so kind, it seemed like she had been putting on some kind of act. I could see that all the people who'd been surrounding her were staring at me.
女帝、カメラっ子に何の用だ？
Excuse me.
友達なのか？
知らないの？ノノは。
はあ、マジで？
I want to know what this is. Ellipses. I ignored my classmates' whispers and focused on Kurusu. Her smile seemed fake, as if it had been plastered onto her face. Whenever she smiled like that, it meant she wasn't in a good mood. Sorry, I can't now. I just figured out something about the case, and I'm putting it together. The student council's really busy with the culture festival now, right? So once it's calmed down, Kurusu... Her cheeks twitched a little. Crap. Kurusu didn't like it when I called her by her last name.
ちょっと来てくれる？部室。
I could sense a dark aura forming around her, hardly befitting a so-called empress.
来てくれる？
She was so close to me.
行こうか、部室。なあ、宮代。
Ito couldn't handle the terror. It didn't look like I could talk my way out of this one. Seeing no other choice, I nodded and stood up.
クルス。
Yeah.
クルス、ちょっと。
グラウンドに出す屋台のコンロの数でしょ。やっぱり一つの屋台につき一つで統一する。
いや、それは。おう。
悪いけど例外はなし。校長に掛け合ったけどダメだったから。人数が多くて不満があるところは私が後で直接説明に行く。
了解。いや、じゃなくて、なんで持ち場離れて。
Kurusu, I told you that if you're busy, we can do this later.
もう終わったから。ごめんね、川原くん。急ぎなの。
Her tone was gentle but brooked no argument. As she hurried to the club room. And there's this asshole.
宮代、またお前か。今度は何したんだ。
Kawahara cut her off. I didn't know his first name. He was in the same class as Ito and I, and he was the vice president of the student council. Oh.
いや、いい。言わなくても分かってる。また例のくだらない記者ごっこだろ。それとも探偵気取
Okay,
りか。
you're a dick, dude. I knew why he was giving me a hard time. He didn't like the fact that Kurusu was spending time with me. It's not,
何？
it's not any of your business, I think.
かかってるんだよ。クルスの時間が割かれると、同じ生徒会の俺たち全員にな。
Oh, yeah, I did it. I happened to glance at Kawahara's belt. The fastener seemed to be broken. That gave me an idea. I yanked down his pants as hard as I could. Just as I thought, they came straight off. His underwear was plainly visible.
白ブリーフかよ。うわー！宮代、お前何するんだ！
For being annoying.
ふざけるな！
Not with that attitude.
川原くん、いいから早く吐きなさい。みっともないでしょ。
みっともないって、そんな。
ほら、みんな見てる。
All the students around us were staring at him and laughing. His face quickly turned red.
ひどい。ひどすぎる。
He pulled up his pants and ran away with tears in his eyes. He looked absolutely miserable. Just imagining that made me feel better. I'd never do something so childish in real life, though. Yanking down someone's pants if they ticked you off was the kind of thing a third grader would do. I was above that. I knew that the best way to deal with someone like Kawahara was just to ignore them.
お前、小中と不登校だったんだって？
Gasp. I could feel my legs tense up. I stopped. My face got hot, and without thinking, I glared accusingly at Kurusu. She quickly shook her head.
川原くん、急いでいるから。
but he kept on staring at me. I felt like he was grinning a little. It pissed me off. But there was nothing I could say. I did the best I could to ignore him and run away. I ignored what sounded like a little laugh and hurried to the club room. The second the three of us were alone in the club room, her expression changed. The smile plastered on the student council president's face disappeared. This was who she really was. What wasn't?
川原くんが言ってたこと。私が彼に言ったわけじゃないから。
It didn't bother me.
嘘。
Really, it didn't. Everything about me was different than it used to be.
まあまあ。で、何？副部長。話があんでしょ。
Kurusu sighed and changed the subject.
タクル、あなたちゃんとご飯食べてるの？少し痩せたんじゃない？
Huh? Where was this coming from?
これからどんどん寒くなってくるでしょ？住んでるところの防寒対策とかちゃんとしてるんでしょうね。
Ugh. Crap. She was in nag mode.
進路調査、結局就職で提出したんですって？進学で提出しなさいって言ったのに、勉強できないわけじゃないんだから。
Oh my god. Leave me alone, woman.
確かに今からだと厳しいけど、受験なら私が面倒見るってこれも前に言ったでしょ。
Did you go asking the teachers? And wait, is that what you wanted to talk about? Let me just fix this pop filter. Sorry, groupie. Damn it. Okay. Sorry, I'm still fiddling with this. It's a new thing. Microphone's new, so... Here we go. Let me put that on. Tighten that. There we go. And wait, is that what you wanted to talk about?
どうなの？ちゃんと食べてるの？
I'm eating just fine. Everything's just fine. I waved my hand to bring the conversation to a close. I didn't want this to end the way it used to, with a 6-hour lecture about how every aspect of my life was wrong, followed by hard labor as my punishment. Kurusu looked like she still had a lot more to say, but a moment later...
あなた、先週の金曜日、学校サボったでしょ。
Huh? Oh, so that was what this was all about. Yeah, I did. Is that a problem?
あるに決まってるでしょ。どこで何してたの？ストレージにアップした画像、あれを撮りに行ってたんじゃないの？
Damn it. I figured that would be it. She was right. The pictures I'd taken from the karaoke box were from last Friday, when I'd skipped school. I'd started to think staking out the place early that morning. I started staking out the place early that morning and waited for the manager of the condo building to open the curtains. It was a lot of work, but I was able to get photos of the scene that nobody else has, except the police.
こういう事件ばかり追いかけるのはやめなさいって前から言ってるでしょ。
Kurusu was the vice president of the newspaper club and has been opposed to Ito's and Mai's journalistic ethos for a long time. We'd spend most of our time investigating crimes in Shibuya. Stuff like the attacks on the homeless people that had been flooding the city ever since the earthquake. And urban legends about a company involved in the rebuilding who put up tons of security cameras all around the city. And a serial arson case where the culprit had never been caught. And now these strange deaths. For her part, Kurusu said that a student paper shouldn't be investigating crimes. She wrote normal, sincere articles and made normal, sincere videos. The video about the Shibuya recovery efforts that won a prize had been mostly her work.
タクル、今回あなたおかしい。学校をサボってまで事件を追うなんて今までなかったでしょ。
That was true. But the reason was obvious, right? I was lucky enough to have this huge mystery right in front of me. This is worth skipping school for.
なぜ？
Because it's the first big thing that's happened in Shibuya since we started the newspaper club. This is a huge scoop.
おいしい？
That face was bad news. It was scary. Ito was right in front of me, so I grabbed him and held him tight.
おい、縦にすんなって。え、縦なの？てか副部長、何その顔？
おいしいですって？人が死んでるっていうのに？
No, I'm sorry. Stay away from me. I really can't handle this.
すんなって。ちょっと待って、マジで縦なの？
Oh crap, oh crap. That face was seriously bad news. The Empress was scary enough that she could send a demon running in terror. And I never even met a demon either. That's just how scary she was.
もう一度言ってくれる？よりによってあなたが人が死んでおいしいですって？
Oh shit. I needed to find some way to stop her. And then I felt the wind rush by my ears. Huh? And at the worst possible time, the wind blew through the room. Kurusu didn't have time to hold down her skirt. Oh! My eyes were locked with Kurusu's as I heard the sounds from the open window. I hadn't even realized it was open until then. There was a tennis court on top of the special use building. Oh, you can see that part of her. There was probably a tennis team out there. That was probably the tennis team, excuse me. I needed to say something. Was I supposed to tell her that I hadn't seen anything?
副部長？
白なんですね。イメージ通りというか。
Idiot. Are you trying to get yourself killed?
私の下着の色が何色か今関係あんのか。
That's me. I flinched at the sudden noise. I'm sorry. And then I realized. I was sure that the sound of Kurisu kicking the wall. That was the sound of, or maybe the sound of her murdering Ito, but I was wrong. It was coming from deeper inside the room.
あの子はまったく。和樹来てたの？和樹？そうか、ヘッドホン。
Ow. It's up there. Go. Kurisu sighed and pulled off the headphones that Kazuki always wore. Pardon me.
円数2でイラついたからって壁を殴るのはやめなさい。何度も言ってるでしょ。壁へこんでるじゃない、もう。
Hana Kazuki, the only first-year student in the newspaper club. But forget her, this was my chance. As Kurisu was rubbing the red marks on Kazuki's hand. Anyway, I'm going to keep following this case. I found a clue, and it might be a big one. Kurisu glared at me for a moment, but...
おお、マジか。よし、すぐ準備する。聞かせてくれ。ぜひ聞かせてくれ。
Ito hurried over to the club's computer, desperate for any chance to escape his doom. I stared back at Kurisu for a moment, then... boot up the computer and print out the images in the storage folder.
了解だ。
Ito's voice was louder than it needed to be as he turned on the computer.
もう殴らないこと。いい？
Maybe she took pity on poor Ito because she didn't say anything else. But she still crossed her arms and glared at us as she leaned against the wall. She was at least going to hear me out, it looked like. Or maybe this was just her way of making sure I didn't escape.
お前、後で飯をおごれよ。
Why? I don't want to.
盾にしやがって気まずすぎんだろ。こんなもん10-0の巻き込まれ事故じゃねえか。
I'm sorry. You were lucky. She didn't get violent.
てって副部長？
I nodded. Kurisu was the girl that everybody looked up to, but she was actually very short-tempered. It would take me more than 5 fingers, but less than 10, to count the number of times she'd slapped me hard. When I told him that...
マジか。
Oh, things I haven't read yet. Start. Lots of little things to read here.
そんな、なんていうか、ありなの？そんなことする女子高生本当にいいのか。ヒスかエスっ子手前じゃん。
ねえ、あなた方。 陰口は聞こえないように言えって言われないの？
The almost hiss didn't even bother looking at us as she spoke.
いや、そのセリフを言ったことはあるんだけどね。それもついさっき教室で。
そう。
And then she fell silent. She was scary as hell. It felt like if I moved, she'd kill me.
おごりだ。決定だ。大盛りにデザートだ。異論は認めん。
That was 50% your fault. Actually, it was 100% Ito's fault for not keeping his mouth shut.
なあ。
What?
見たか？見たよな。
I didn't. That was a lie. I'd seen it. They were white. I glanced at Kurisu out of the corner of my eye. I guess that really was just what you'd expect. Still, I'd only gotten a glimpse. It was entirely possible I'd been mistaken. If I burned the image into my brain now, maybe the next time something like this happened, I'd be able to react more quickly. So I prayed for more good luck. If it did ever happen again, I swore I would react as a right-sider should. A right-sider wouldn't panic over something as insignificant as seeing a girl's underwear. Pardon me. In a situation like that, it was critical that you stay calm. When she heard Ito turn on the printer, Kazuki trotted over like she usually did. That online game addict was the best computer skills of anyone in the world. To be positive. Whenever she was around, it was her job to run searches and organize information on PC, but...
Kazuki, 手伝わなくていい。この件については部の活動と認めてないから。
Kazuki gave us a questioning look. Oh, yeah, that's right. Kazuki just said, like she always did, and walked away.
Hora, Kazuki, まだ手赤いわ。もっとさすってあげるから。
Kazuki obediently walked toward Kurisu. Kurisu held her hands and rubbed them gently, like a mother would.
痛かったでしょ？どうしてそんな無茶をするの？
Are these Yuri fantasies?
どう？まだ痛い？痛いの飛んでけー。
Oh, it is a Yuri fantasy.
カズキ、どうしたの？急に抱きついて。もう甘えん坊さんなんだから。あ、もしかして私がしばらく部室に来られなかったから寂しかったの？じゃあわからないわ。ほら、私の目を見てちゃんと答えてね。
But my channel doesn't get flagged for this. Probably not.
寂しかったんでしょ？違う？
ちゃって可愛いのね。
ごめんね、寂しい思いさせて。でも安心して、今日はずっと和樹と一緒にいてあげるから。
One sec.
私もあなたと一緒にいられて嬉しい。手の痛みはもう引いた？まだ？じゃあとっておきのおまじない。
Kazuki watched with a look of ecstasy in her eyes as Kurusu softly kissed her fingers. It felt like I was seeing something I shouldn't, so I looked away.
和樹の指、細くてとっても綺麗。
おい、何ぼんやりしてるんだ？
Gasp.
宮代？
No, nothing. I chased the stupid idea out of my mind. Kurusu was nice to everyone, even girls like Kazuki who couldn't communicate with others. Of course, in reality, Kurusu and Kazuki had never done anything like that, and they never should, and never would, pardon me. Kazuki put her headphones on and went back to the corner of the room. She started slamming keys again. I never did know how to talk to her. Actually, it felt like it had been forever since I'd even spoken to her. If you could call this a conversation, that is. She'd been part of the newspaper club for 6 months, and all I knew about her was that she liked games, knew a lot of about computers, and hated talking. In the end, Ito printed out the pictures, and I took them and went in front of the bulletin board before Kurusu changed her mind. If Kurusu was going to listen, it was probably better to start at the beginning. She didn't seem interested in the cases, but if I ignored her and it made her even madder, even using Ito as a shield wouldn't be enough to save me. There are 2 cases we've been looking at right now. The first occurred on the 7th of this month, during a Nikonia live stream. It was a public suicide called Don't Look at Me case. It happened here, in Jinan. Just like you probably guessed, a man killed himself without warning during a Nikonia live stream. Strictly speaking, we don't know for sure that it's a suicide, but it sure looks like one. The dead man's name is Yuma Utani, age 21. He was a live streamer who got quite a lot of views with some kind of fortune-telling program called TIL, I Can See the Future. So here's how it went down. First, Utani gave the audience some time to ask questions. He left the camera's field of view. After that, there was a sound of someone knocking on the door. It was faint, but the mic picked it up. There's also some voices, but you can't make them out. When he came back in front of the camera, half of his right arm was missing. It was chopped up into tiny bits and sitting on top of the plate he was carrying. Then he started eating his own fingers like he wasn't feeling any pain at all. Kurusu's expression changed a little. She probably hadn't known that. The suicide had been big news, even on TV, so she'd probably seen it there. But the details had been so horrific that the news hadn't broadcast them. But those details could be figured anywhere on the internet, be found anywhere on the internet. It was only a matter of time before someone started putting it all together. The video itself had even started to get around. Then, after a moment, he started to scream in pain. And then he died. Evidently, the viewers thought it was some kind of gag or something at first.
出血性ショック死な。警察の発表でもそうなってたし、混沌するまでの時間を考えても間違いない。
Ito added. Ito knew more about this stuff than I did. He was a fan of bizarre murders, and had read 10 times as many killers' diaries and non-fiction crime books as I had. The most likely theory is that he experienced some kind of mental disorder before the suicide, but the people are supposedly looking for whoever visited the room first. They might be responsible for aiding or abetting a suicide. In Japan, if you saw someone trying to kill themselves and didn't intervene, it was a crime unless the police could prove you wanted them to die. It wasn't a crime, pardon me. But aiding a suicide, or encouraging someone to commit suicide, was illegal. That meant that the police were probably looking for whoever met Utani just before his death. Kurusu was silent, but she was looking at the board and seemed to be listening. It seemed safe. On to the next case. Second, the case that occurred on the 19th. It gets its name, leaky noise, from the condition the body was found in. It happened here, in Shinsen. The girl's name is Momone Takayanagi, age 20. She was a sang-it singer on Nikoniya. She'd been getting really famous online singing anime theme songs. She was going to sing at the Restoration Festival, too. Every sunny day, she'd always go to the same place at the same time and put on a performance in her fancy band costume. That day she started in her concert pretty late. But something was wrong. Her voice was small and it didn't sound like she usually did. And then in the middle of the concert, she died. Blood loss here too. She'd been stabbed in the stomach before she'd started the concert. What's strange was the condition the body was found in. Ito, play the video.
Oh.
Ito tapped a few keys on the computer's keyboard. And a moment later... Kurusu looked confused when she heard that sound. Evidently, she wasn't able to make it out. Oh, not that one. The one Shibuya News upped with the enhanced audio.
ああ、そっちだよな。
Her expression changed. Oh, 1 second. Sorry, that was my phone. She must have been able to hear it this time. Thanks, take it easy. According to the regulators, that's how she would begin every performance. Regulars, pardon me.
ニアドユーザーだからな。なんでも歌ってみたの歌い手の中では彼女のライブが一番だって最近評判だったらしいぞ。
Kurusu seemed to be ignoring me and Ito. She was staring at the computer screen that was the source of the sound.
今のは
The screams are from the audience members who discovered the bodies. One of them was recording a video. And that last part was in Takayanagi's voice. It was from a miniature speaker embedded in her stomach. Oh shit. Kurusu seemed confused, so Ito interjected.
つまりその日のライブは最初から録音されたものだったんだよ。
Evidence found later indicated that she'd split open her own stomach with a utility knife she got at a convenience store, then stuck a Bluetooth speaker inside. She closed the wound up with duct tape, not that it actually did much good. Then she used her clothes and the outfit to hide the wound and started her performance. At first she played the guitar along with the sound of her recorded voice, but after a while she stopped playing. That was when she leaned forward and it didn't get back up. So she was probably already dead then. But while the audience thought it was strange, they kept listening. One second. Sorry. They kept listening. Either the blood from her wounds broke the portable music player in her pocket, or maybe it was supposed to be this way from the start. But until that same line you just heard play over and over, no one realized she was dead. Kurusu's face was a mixture of confusion and discomfort. Of course it was. She never heard of something like this. I couldn't hold back my excitement. Huh? Amazing, right? Instead of agreeing, Kurusu's brow furrowed. She probably didn't realize it, but she'd wrapped her arms around herself. What was wrong? Was that a little too creepy?
でここまでは単にこれまでの事件の整理だろ。発見ってのは
Oh yeah, he was right. I used the computer to print out a series of pictures. Obviously, we don't know what the motive behind these two killings are. The one suspect we've got is whoever visited Utani's room. And we don't know who they are, what they wanted, or what they were talking about. But I think there's more of this to come. It's only a guess, though, based off something the victims have in common.
Huh? マジか?
Ito leapt out of his chair in shock. Well, I couldn't blame him.
共通点に関しては散々話し合ったろ。分かったのは渋谷に住んでることとニア道のユーザーだったこと。あとはまあ2人ともある程度の知名度があって自殺した状況が異常だってことくらいか。でもそんなもんじゃそれ以上のことは何も見えてこなかっただろう。
So you didn't see the other thing they had in common? I pointed toward the bulletin board as I spoke. Ito looked really annoyed.
偉そうにしよってからに。そもそもこっちの気を引くようにプリントアウトしてるやつはなんだ?
On top of the best parts of finding something like this was seeing... One of the best parts of finding something like this was seeing the angry look on his face. Well, it was only yesterday that I found it myself, though.
じらさなくていいから。何を見つけたの?
Kurusu beckoned for me to go on. No matter what she said, after hearing all this, she probably wanted to know what came next. It was done printing. Kazuki suddenly stood in front of me. She offered me the printed images without a word. Thanks. Then she offered me something else. A lollipop? Are you giving me this? She nodded. Thanks. Aww. Kazuki seemed to be communicating in a very own unique way. She walked over to the bulletin board and tapped the data printouts on the two cases with her finger.
Kazuki, どうした?
She did it again. I saw the part she was pointing at and nodded. That's right, the dates. The 7th, the 19th. That's what they have in common. Strange deaths on September 7th, September 19th. Ring a bell? I kept looking at Ito. Usually he would be the one to pick up on this. A second later... He froze. He must have figured it out. Yep. With your love of weird murders, you know what I'm talking about. I pinned the messages I printed the messages I just printed out onto the bulletin board's map. September 7th, the group dive. September 19th, the pregnant man. September 29th, crucified. October 10th, the vampire. October 23rd, brain dead. October 28th, yummy hand. November 4th, the DQN puzzle.
New generation の狂気.
Oh, we're getting somewhere. Yep. 6 years ago, in 2009, a series of strange deaths that occurred just before the earthquake that struck Shibuya on November 6th. They became famous for the words left at the scene of every crime. Those eyes, whose eyes? They called the killings the New Generation Madness. The murders took place in Shibuya, but the whole country took an interest in them. At the time, I was in 6th grade, and just like a lot of people, I followed every new development on the internet. The dates match up exactly with the dates of the murders 6 years ago. They may be set up to look like suicides, but they're every bit as weird as the old killings.
偶然でしょ.
She seemed to be trying to force the words out of her throat. Kurusu was acting a little strange. Her arms clutched her torso even tighter.
副部長?
Maybe it was because of all the creepy pictures she'd seen. Kurusu was definitely shaking. She tried her best to stop it as she spoke.
何でも関連づけて大きくしたがるのはやめなさい。2つたまたま一致しただけでしょ。
We'll know for sure soon. The third new generation madness took place on September 29th. In other words, today. If something weird happens in Shibuya again, we'll know for sure. If a coincidence happens 3 times, it's not a coincidence anymore. A phone rang. It was mine. Yes,
事件だ。いや、事故？とにかくタクの言う通りのことが起きたかもしれないんだよ。
I could feel my heart starting to race as she spoke. It was a love hotel in Doganzaka, 5 minutes from Shibuya Station. A few days ago, there'd been some kind of suspicious fire here, and I'd come to do some reporting. The place was supposedly a love hotel spot, but even at night when business should have been booming, it wasn't particularly exciting. During the day, when all the lights were turned off, if you didn't look at the signs, it wouldn't look very different from your average neighborhood. One of the buildings was a 4-story love hotel with a terrible name, Fairy's Dance. It faced a narrow street and there was no parking lot, so the police car was parked a meter nearby. Sarika was standing in front of the general store some distance away. She was supposed to be spending the day taking photos of the area around the last 2 crime scenes. What happened?
わかんない。さっきゲンさんと107の近くですれ違った時に、ここで何かが起きたって教えてくれたの。
I just don't get that guy. Where does he find out about this stuff? It's helpful, so I guess it doesn't matter too much. Gen was a homeless man I knew who sold me all the books in my secret stash. He was a drunk who claimed to be of noble blood, but the stories he told me about his past didn't sound very noble at all. The guy was a weirdo, but since he spent all his time wandering around Shibuya, he knew a surprising amount of info about it.
でも大事なのは間違いないっぽいよ。さっき中に入ってった警察の人が応援呼んでたみたいだし。
I see. I decided to start by taking a video of the outside of the hotel with my smartphone.
Oh my.
One sec. There we go. I'd left the 2 of them in the club room, and they'd only just now caught up with me. They must have ran here. Ito especially was breathing very heavily. What? Kurusu came too? Kazuki decided not to come, evidently. Of course not. I'd never seen her outside, except when we were going to and from school.
で、事件か?
I told Ito what I'd heard from Sarika. He seemed really disappointed. And I'm going to stop for a while because my head hurts. I will save in a different slot. There we go.